Hello, hi, hey, I've recorded this probably a dozen times with no success. Maybe that's some imposter syndrome creeping in, but I don't need to improv an intro to my very first podcast ever. So I prepared myself a little script, written from the perspective of someone who knows what they're doing. Hello, welcome to the Make Things Now podcast. Make Things Now is where my name's Kay, chat with thingmakers who make things about who they are and how and why they make those things, and we get lost in the twisting tunnels of casual conversation along the way. Make Things Now is a podcast that isn't one. Because seeing is believing, you can use your eyeballs to peer into the extra-dimensionally animated space in which our podcast is filmed. Or something like that. I don't really know. Here, we blend fact with fiction, lived experience with imagined circumstance, and elevate the art of interview into a theatrical act. In an age where truth is decaying and our civil rights are rapidly eroding, what better way to pass the time than to loudly and proudly flex our imagination muscles? Making things is an act of resilience, so I hope you'll be inspired. Okay, with that, being that this is an extra-dimensionally animated space, and it takes place in a cartoon dimension, I needed to use a little bit of technological intervention to get this working. So you'll notice the thing on the ground over there, that's the Holomid. That is it's a piece of crap, honestly. I'm surprised that it works, but this little projector thing is what is going to allow me to chat with my very first guest, one of my favorite humans on the whole planet. But there's a little bit of a boot up process, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to go and, I forgot where the power button is. And...
Hi!
There we go, okay. Our very first guest is a fan of all things mystical and fantastical. As a self-proclaimed Skibidi-Rizzler devil, she is known throughout our local community as a founder of a queer Discord server with members nearing 600 users. In fact, that's how we met. It is a great honor to introduce, for this inaugural edition of the Make Things Now podcast, the one and only Terra. How's it going?
Hi, it's going well. Like you said, I'm Terra, and I'm shocked that I haven't checked the numbers lately. We're really nearing 600 on the Discord.
It's creeping up there. I stopped looking at it a little while back, but it definitely was past 500 at a point.
That is absolutely insane. I never expected my server would get that far.
And that is a mighty thing that you have made, isn't it?
Yes, it is a thing that I have made. Yeah, we're talking about making things.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind, talk to me a little bit about how the Discord server came to be. What was the inciting reasoning behind that?
So in 2021, I had just started the previous year in my transition as a trans woman. I had basically just started the year before, and I was more invested in looking at all the political goings-on because there was a lot starting at that time through legislation against the rights of trans people. And I was terrified. I had just discovered this thing about myself. It had only been a year, and already I was like, I could lose my ability to progress in this journey. So I had actually tried looking elsewhere for community. I didn't really find anything in my local area that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, I use Discord a lot to interact with my friends on a daily basis. And with some help from recommendation from my therapist at the time, they essentially recommended, well, why don't you create your own thing? And
Wow.
so I So I started in like late winter, early spring of that year, like yeah, February, March of 2021 on making this server.
That I actually didn't have that full background yet. So this really it kind of came about because your therapist was like, "You need to be the person to make the thing that you want." Am I understanding that right?
Yes. Yes, 100%, because I guess I just hadn't really ever thought that I did really never think at the time that I could make something, anything really, that would resonate with so many people.
I mean, if I can speak selfishly, I think the thing that you made ended up having a rippling effect, and it's affected so many people's lives in such a positive way, and you've kind of connected a community that really desperately needed connected.
Yeah, definitely. It was very much something that I guess looking back, it was something that if I needed it, I guess that means clearly a lot of other people needed it, and that's
Yeah,
proven to be true.
precisely. I don't know, it's the be the change that you want to see in the world kind of thing. If you recognize that there's a need for it within yourself.
Exactly.
Before we get too into it, you look a little tired. Did you get a lot? Did you get very much sleep? Like, don't. I'm not. This is a kind ask. Your mug looks even sleepier than you do. What are you drinking?
Yes, I am drinking. I've gone back to drinking tea after
Oh, okay.
being addicted to coffee for so long. So yeah, just nice, mellow, caffeinated green tea, jasmine tea, my fave. And yes, my mug is in fact very eepy. You noticed the mug looks eepier than me. I therefore must be more awake.
Yeah, that is some
Wait,
psychology right there.
yeah. We'll see how well it works. I've often joked to myself and others about I never really wake up. Like I'm just
Oh,
constantly
wow.
sleepy.
That you're just various levels of sleep and you're never
Yes, precisely.
fully in the world. Wow, that's quite profound if I can say that. My goodness.
Well, I suppose you could say in a way I'm living the dream. Thank you, thank you. I try.
Actually, I want you to you mentioned about yourself that you are a trans woman. This form that you are projecting into my space today. It says a few things about you, and I guess I'm curious why you picked this avatar to represent yourself.
So first of all, I went into this creating this avatar, trying to make it look eepy to reflect my own eepiness, but but this is funny. Now that I like look at it, it's like it's less giving eepy and more giving bedroom eyes, and that is absolutely not the intent.
Well, what is a bedroom good for if not sleeping? So I think that it's
Okay,
still appropriate.
true. Yeah, true.
Yeah, still very appropriate. And I want to apologize in advance if there's any blip in conversation or connection here. The device through which your consciousness is streaming is in fact an old piece of crap that I drug out of a closet. It was coated in a layer of dust. I recognize that it was made roughly 30 years ago, but I don't have the budget. I am literally just starting this podcast now. So I want to apologize in advance if there's any technical difficulties related to my extreme lack of budget.
I think it'll be fine.
I really do hope so. I had to get out a can of duster, like the aerosol duster, and really get in there. And I don't know, it was shooting out all kinds of things I didn't expect that would actually fit inside of it. Like there was There was a used napkin. There was a few dozen paper clips. It's almost like a bag of holding situation in there.
Back to my avatar, though.
Yes, sorry, I don't mean to distract.
There are a few more pieces on it. So one thing that you'll probably notice pretty quickly, there is a frog on my head.
I was gonna mention your friend there. What is?
His name is Ben.
Love Ben.
Yeah, Ben is the frog that sits atop my head. I really like frogs. I really like all animals. Frogs in particular are very neat little guys. Then there's also behind me, you got the trans flag and the lesbian flag in a sort of halo behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't make out the difference, given that the color of this thing sucks so bad.
It's Then I've got also a little moon earring and sparklies because I am a magical girl. I'm a witch.
Oh, beautiful. I was actually going to ask if the frog is related to your studies of witchcraft and wizardry.
Yeah, I could make Ben a familiar.
If you ever host classes, please let me know. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
can you hear me right now? Are you... fuck. Shit. Alright, N64 style, here we go. Okay, and it just goes back in there like that. Hopefully that worked. Boot screen. Hello. Okay, hi. Hey, are you back? Can you hear me?
Hi. Hello. Hi.
You've got 207 unread systems notifications.
Yeah, I don't know what went wrong there.
I'm not going to say I knew it was going to happen, but I had a strong suspicion. I don't know how they fit that many paper clips in there. I got like another 3 dozen out just now. Like,
I mean,
are you good over there?
Around the time we cut out, like I smelled burning, so I went to check, see what was going on.
Is that a witchcraft thing?
Anyways, people say where there's smoke, there's fire. But I went to check, and there was smoke.
Spontaneous temporal inversion.
It's really strange.
Heating. The whole mid-3 is no longer supported.
Okay.
Destruction of device strongly advised.
I don't know anything about that, but I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad that we have reestablished connection.
Update complete.
I think I'm noticing a few less like knocks and bangs from the holomid, so we're gonna proceed with our podcast and not reschedule.
All right.
I don't have the budget for that, but hey, let's not waste any more time. I'm curious. In addition to Discord servers, which you've established, clearly you're a master craftsperson. What else do you make?
Well, I make a lot of things. I think really I have a problem with starting a lot of things and never really finishing them. But I do stuff.
Oh, that's so real.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I do a lot of things around world building and tabletop game design.
Oh, wow.
I've started learning illustration in order to help with my goal of creating tabletop games and with my goal of running games like Pathfinder and D&D and all that.
Yeah, I've seen some of your progression over the past few months, and you've really made leaps and bounds of progress despite it's not something that is supernatural to do, like just to sit down and draw when you haven't been doing it your whole life. Your dedication to learning a new craft and doing it on your own timeline is actually really awesome.
It's really crazy because it's something that I never thought like I'd be able to do like at all. I was like, I just don't have the talent for this. But it's not something you preordained natural divine instinct for. It's something that is a skill that you can develop just like any other skill.
So true. That you really hit at something there. Sometimes when I'm talking about creativity, thing making, etc., sometimes people will use the word talent to describe someone who's like really good. I'm more of your thought, where it's like it has nothing to do, like you're not a protagonist. You're not an art creative protagonist. It's like you sat down and you did the work over and over and over again, and now you've got something to show for it.
Yeah, definitely. It's really, if you have an interest in something, if you think, I want to be able to do that, find, there's plenty of information out on the books. There's the internet has all sorts of information.
And it's so easy to do these days.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, when I was a baby maker, all I had was a VHS copy of Jurassic Park and crayons and a piece of paper. And I made it work. I just did my crappy dinosaur doodles, and I don't know, just never stopped. I
Wait,
wish...
so that's how you got started with Jurassic Park?
Okay, so...
Fan art?
In a sense, kind of. I was really obsessed with dinosaurs when I was a kid. And there was something about, I don't know, the shapes. I just thought that their teeth and their claws and the scales were all really neat. Naturally, as soon as I got my grubby little hands on a set of Crayola, I did something about it, and it was just, I was like a stand for Jurassic Park.
I love that. I mean, I too had an obsession with dinosaurs.
Okay. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Oh.
Asking the real questions.
Gosh, it's such a tough choice. I really loved, for the longest time, iguanodons. Specifically because of the Disney movie Dinosaur, which was like my favorite.
Yes. Ugh.
Yeah. But I also like a lot Ankylosaurus.
Yeah, that guy,
really cool,
he is so bumpy. He is so bumpy.
Yeah. And also Dimetrodon.
Oh, wow, you know the good ones. Yeah, he looks like half of a pizza had legs.
When you said you liked the shape of them, I immediately thought of the shape of Dimetrodon.
Yeah.
Like, that is a dinosaur with a good shape.
That is a 10 out of 10 shaped dino.
100%.
If I had to give okay, you provided 3. So I'll repay you in kind with 3 favorite dinosaurs. So, kind of a niche one called, I think it's Baryonyx. It was like kind of like a semi-aquatic guy who ate fish. Big relate with Baryonyx because I'm also a fish eater. Naturally, I think a good pick is also Spinosaurus. Again, because of Jurassic Park. Also, like, I don't know if you are into the dinosaur community, but a few years back, there was some research that came out that said, like, actually, maybe Spinosaurus was also semi-aquatic and actually didn't spend all of its life on land. Oh. Yeah, they made some new art renders of what a scientifically accurate Spinosaurus would be. And I actually got pretty sad because they made him look so, just like a giant seal plushie with scales. It was pretty silly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those renders end up being pretty silly because there's so much that's just conjecture.
Yeah.
And when you think of like how our skulls and skeletons work, like just going based off of bones,
right?
Like you would not know how the body like actually forms around that.
You raised such an amazing point. I wish I could get into the brain of the people whose job it is to create new artistic renditions of creatures that we only have the bones for. I don't know how to see meat around a set of bones. That's crazy to me.
Hey there, Make Things listeners. I really hate to do this to you,
but we actually don't have any form of sponsor. So I had to sell some ad space just to pay rent on this little studio that I am shooting this podcast project in. So I'm told it will be at least relevant to what we're talking about. So I hope that it is a useful service for you. I have no idea what we're about to listen to. Do you have a knack for vividly imagining flesh around bones? Well, listen up, because we have an opportunity for you. Camaprex, the dinosaur-inspired venture capital group, is hiring Flesh Imagineers. Flesh Imagineering is a lost art in a growing market. Your skills could help this market achieve their goal of creating a standing army of Tyrannosaurus Rex flesh forms into which shareholders' souls can be reincarnated. Why would anyone want recently deceased CEOs and oligarchs' minds placed into the bodies of a Tyrannosaurus Rex? The question isn't why, but how. And the answer is...
Do not tell them. Don't tell them. You can't. They cannot know. Just make something up.
We don't know yet. That's why we're hiring.
Good.
If you have the skill to see meat around bones, we want you to help draft the plan for how this cutting-edge technology will ensure our collective oppression, not just across generations, but entire evolutionary epochs of life on Earth. Camaprex, creating the problems today you'll doom scroll about tomorrow.
Those who do that job of creating those renders, there's like kind of some debate as to like the scientific value of them. I think they have value regardless of how scientifically accurate they may or may not be.
Mostly they just go towards inspiring young artists to start drawing. So who cares if they're all that scientifically accurate, as long as they look really cool?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe science isn't the biggest consideration when we start thinking about making things, but I am curious, what does making things mean to you?
For me, it's all about communication. Whenever you're making anything, even if you're just making words, you're taking your experiences and you're forming them into these discrete ideas and you're giving them form.
Wow.
And it's all about just sort of communicating your experiences to someone else and through a medium that, you know, they can understand.
See, now I'm like wondering, like, what is it that I'm trying to communicate when I go to make things? Probably just how unhinged I am.
I mean, I see in a lot of your work, there's a lot of whimsy.
Oh.
And I think that you are generally a rather whimsical person in my experience. And I think that is definitely coming through a lot.
Aw. Well, I really appreciate that. You know, sometimes they say in order to see the forest, you have to get through the trees. But if you're seeing whimsy there, that's a huge compliment. And I'm gonna slap that at the top of my resume. And if I have
Excellent. I'd hire you.
Okay.
If you put whimsy on the top, if someone put whimsy on the top of their resume, I'd be like, okay, I'm looking at this one first.
Well, maybe that's the trick. Next time, yeah, I do an updated resume, I'll just like do like a white font, like just throw whimsy in there, so that if anyone's ever searching for resumes and they find whimsy, they just search whimsy in their application search engine, and then it just comes up, even though it doesn't appear.
Oh yeah, I've done that with stuff before.
Do go on.
Yeah, no, there are so because of the algorithms that companies have been using a lot to look through resumes, there are certain keywords that you can, if you put in, your resume is more likely to be seen. But what I've learned is that sometimes those keywords, the person recruiting sees those keywords that the computer scraped and is like, how did these get in here? And you have to explain.
Maybe I don't want to put whimsy on there because I don't want to be interrogated about my whimsy. I just want them to see it.
Well, what you do is you put it on there bold and bright.
So I should not censor or closet my whimsy, rather bear it proudly for the world to see.
Bear it proudly. Spell it out within your resume. Just highlight letters in your resume that end up spelling out whimsy.
Let me see if I can do that. WHIMSY. Whimsy is my alibi. WHISMY. Hey, 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 we got the whimsy. Hey, 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 we got the whimsy. We got Terra. We got sleepy mugs. Up in here, up in here.
There we go. You could put, I think you can now put hip-hop / rap artist on your resume as well.
We're all just trying to acquire skills, and you gotta start somewhere. In the interest of wrapping things up on a great note without setting any proverbial or literal fires, I'm curious, is there anything that you want our listeners to know about?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through really quickly and shout out some of my favorite pieces from various forms of media.
Oh, yes.
Things that I'd really highly recommend. So one is Stormlight Archives, or really anything by Brandon Sanderson. It's great fantasy / sci-fi, awesome world building and magic systems.
Yes.
Very complex morality. And what really grabs me is the very real feeling mental health struggles that people go through. Video games, Xenoblade Chronicles, fantastic game series.
Woo! Xenoblade!
Yeah, many of the same things that I like about Stormlight are in there. Also, it's a major Nintendo title with canon queer characters, which is awesome.
Whoa, that's kind of rare.
Yeah, no, there are canon, there's non-binary characters, there are polycules, it's great. Going on to board games, Red Dragon Inn, it's really easy to pick up and a good point to start for trying board games outside of, your traditional ones. If you're someone who's just used to playing like Life or Clue or Monopoly, Red Dragon Inn is one of those newer ones that is really fun. And I really enjoy RPing in it.
Wow.
You don't have to RP, but I think it really adds to it. So, speaking of RP, Thirsty Sword Lesbians. If you're... Yes, I
do.
If you're someone who's been playing D&D and wants something that's a bit different, but still, rolling dice and RPing, Thirsty Sword Lesbians is a great 2d6 system. Bit more light on the rules and focuses more on the roleplay. And it is very strongly inclusive. You do not have to be thirsty, a sword, or a lesbian. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is for people of all genders, races.
Levels of hydration, too?
Levels of hydration.
My goodness.
Whether you're thirsty or not. Yeah. Manga and anime, Delicious in Dungeon.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. That's
amazing.
Oh, it totally blew my mind on what a dungeon crawler could be.
It made me so happy when it got an anime, and even more so that ProZD, one of my favorite voice actors,
is so cool.
Or Sungwon Cho, as he's also known. He voices Senshi.
I had no idea.
But also,
I've been
the
watching
author,
the Japanese dub, so I actually had no clue about the English voice cast.
He voices Senshi in the anime, in the English dub, and is very good at it. He is the perfect man for that role. But also the author, Ryoko Gooey. Look at any of her work that have trans and non-binary characters and characters with disabilities, and it explores these themes and also sometimes just like they're just part of the character. They're not necessarily the focus. They're just there.
I'd love to see it.
Which I think
I'm taking notes down
sometimes.
because I've actually never engaged with a piece of writing that had a non-binary character in it proper.
You've yet to meet a non-binary character, that or they've yet to really express their non-binary
Oh my goodness.
nature.
Well, you've just got me more excited for the next season whenever it comes out.
Yes. All right, carrying on. Music. Glass Animals is one of my favorite bands of all time. Literally every album they have one-ups the previous one. It's amazing how they just keep getting better.
If you could recommend a singular track for our listeners to get a feel for Glass Animals, what would that be?
One of the best ones to start with, to just dip your toes in, would be Gooey.
Gooey.
Yeah, it's off of their first album, and it's just vibes.
That's fantastic.
Lastly, a podcast called Stuff to Blow Your Mind.
Whoa!
Yeah, it'll blow your mind. It's really great podcast where these two people, Joe and Robert, they go and deep dive into a given topic on science, history, art, really just about anything, but it's basically with the mindset of anything that you explore with a critical eye becomes fascinating. But yeah, I think that's about all. There is also your server.
Oh, goodness.
Your Make Things server.
Should the mortals know about this resource? I'm not sure. Well, tell the people what they need to know. Terra, I trust your sage witchcraft wisdom.
Yeah, Kay here has a Discord server. I believe it's just called Make Things.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's Make Things for now.
For now, it's just Make Things, but it is a server for creators, makers of all sorts of arts, crafts, sort of communicate with each other, and talk about, hey, here's my progress as far as a project I've been doing. And also, every Saturday, there is a dedicated time to get in a voice chat together and make things together.
That is a factual statement. In fact, it's going to be even more factual in the very near future, because I'm hoping, planning, fingers crossed, that reality will allow this to happen. I want Make Things Together to happen bi-weekly, so it'll happen even more, and there'll be opportunities to vibe in a space and channel the creative energies with fellow creators.
Oh my goodness. This is my first time hearing about this, and I am delighted by that.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I just messed up on the idea of bi-weekly. Bi-weekly means every other week, right?
No, weekly means twice a week, right?
I want it to. Well, if it doesn't, it does now. For the purpose of this advertisement, Make Things Together happens twice weekly, and on this podcast, we call that bi-weekly. Whether or not that's true or not.
That's the truth in our hearts.
That's the truth that we choose to believe. And hasn't that always been the most important thing?
True.
With that brings us to the amazing conclusion of our inaugural episode of Make Things Now, a podcast featuring creators, their identities, and their inspirations. Once more, my good friend, dear listeners, Terra, is there any last piece of wisdom that you want to leave them with?
I just want to leave you with the wisdom that if there is something that you want in the world, others want it too. So make that thing.
Make that thing! Be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you, Terra, for your time. I hope we didn't start any literal or proverbial fires. And if we did, I hope it is a creative spark that lives on in everyone's heart. I hope that you take that with you into the future, and you say the magical words, Terra.
Scribbly Bumpus?
Scribbly Bumpus! Also known as Make Things, Hope you all have a lovely, hope you all have a lovely evening. Stay gay. My name's Kay. Have a lovely day. And you can catch all of the recommended media from our guest in the show notes below. Goodbye.